Hey everybody, it's Lindsay with The Creative Arrow, and today I wanted to give you a page-by-page tour of my very first art journal. There's already a quick flip-through video of this in my YouTube channel, but I wanted to take you through kind of how I came up with each design, what my inspiration was, and kind of where I went from the very beginning. So this is the very first one I did all the way back in 2018. And we're going to take you from front cover to back cover in one show. So let's get started. All right, so starting with the cover, this is just a couple pieces of scrapbook paper that I put on here, and then some like gold stickers. So it's pretty simple, but I didn't want anything too complicated with it being my first one. I do have a pocket here which I used to keep just different like things for my art journal, and then the front side is just a little bit of some of my favorite washi tape, and it kind of created a pocket here as well that I used to keep stuff in, but now that I'm finished with it, I don't really keep anything in it right now. I did start off with something a little complicated, but I didn't finish this all in one sitting, so I wanted it to say my name and this journal belongs to, but when I did my first page I used permanent marker and very quickly realized that it bled through, so I was initially upset about it, but I don't really care now. I mean, sometimes you just have to give a little and not try to be so perfect. So this is my very first page. This is the very first art journal entry I ever created. As you can see, it's not anything super complicated. I have just 2 pieces of scrap paper, and then I added what I used them for, and it just helped me kind of break the fear of the blank page and give me some place to get started. This is a quote that I really liked, and I wanted to do kind of like a galaxy acrylic theme with it. The brightest light casts the darkest shadows by Jessie Scott. And then another quote, cheap paper is less perishable than gray matter, and lead pencil markings endure longer than memory by Jack London. So just a couple of quotes, again, nothing super complicated. So some basic things that just kind of helped me get started. I was really into experimenting with pen, and I really needed something to kind of help me push, because this was going a little slow in the beginning. Don't be afraid to take a deep breath and create. This is a little piece of paper that I created with some prayers that I was kind of wanting to do in the moment. Lots of people to pray for. And these are shadows from my pans in my kitchen. I did that with watercolor and just a little description there. This is one of my very first pages that I was like super proud of and really wanted to then like create wall art based off of. This is watercolor and then just like pen and ink over it. I did draw all of this out in pencil first. Don't think that I'm like that talented initially. And then we're into December now, so I was doing Christmas movie watch list, more quotes. Quotes became just something easy. I didn't have to think about what it was. I just found a quote I liked, put it in there, and did some doodles around it. This was based off of someone that passed away, and it really hit me in that moment. Butterflies were kind of her symbol, and then purple was her favorite color, and so I did a whole page in memory of her. An event that all of my friends did together. Just another fun saying that we used to always say, always a bridesmaid. I did that in watercolor. This was a bunch of, again, just simple little quotes, a little collage of scrapbook paper and acrylics. Lots of Martin Luther King Jr. quotes in there. More kind of just winter stuff, snowman recipe, and then some simple watercolor and ink sketches to go with it. This was my word for January. In the new year, I like to do a word for that year. So in 2019, my word that I wanted was create. And then I did this simple pen and ink sketch. This actually ended up being one of my favorite pen and ink sketches, and if I ever got a tattoo, this is what I would get, honestly. This was a snow day, and I was thinking about the Winter Games. I used to do the Winter Games in Dubuque with my friends back when I was younger, and it was like on my mind because the weather, I said, was snowing. So and I actually did these while I was at the Winter Games, these ones as well. Again, more quotes, more watercolor and ink to go with it. This one I did for a winter conference that I did online. I am an art teacher, so this was one of the tutorials on colored pencil. More kind of collaging with scrapbook papers when I kind of started getting more into the scrapbook paper parts. This is actually, so I did the watercolor first, and then I wrote in ink one of my favorite poems that I've ever written, and then put a little bit of like gold acrylic accents on top. This is one of my more complicated spreads, and the first time that I did kind of the cutout technique. And so this is all marker, and a little bit of colored pencil and pen detail, but that is one of my favorites. I'm very proud of that one. More kind of playing with cutting up, collaging, stickers. Another quote with watercolor. So quotes was definitely an inspiration, a very easy prompt, and pen and ink was really kind of big for me then too. This is based off of the TV series, oh shoot, I'm blanking right now. Hope Valley, and it's got the Western theme. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Why am I blanking? When Calls the Heart? Yes, When Calls the Heart. Whew, that was close. The church and the initials, I love this. This is based off of Jenna Rani. I did a whole series in class with Jenna Rani as an inspiration. She's a really wonderful like watercolor artist. So if you haven't checked her out, you should look at her stuff as well. So it's March. In March, the weather super affects me, and I always have to do spring spreads. So you're gonna see a lot of flowers and butterflies and spring inspired things coming up, because this is the only way I would create my own happiness sometimes. Another collage, this is like magazine cutouts and stuff like that. This is actually from, I used to play orchestra in high school, and this is one of my music sheets actually. So this one is, you won't be able to see it because I went over it, but I had a really particularly rough day. And so I took a pen, I wrote out all of my angers, all of my frustrations, and then I painted over it, put this on top, rise above it all, and that is how I kind of had a therapy session for myself for that day. That's one of my favorite techniques actually. This, Here Comes the Sun, again, just colored pencil. I actually did this the same day, but I needed a little more joy. Colored pencil, some words for me, some goals, some self-reflection. More collages with magazines, still March, still wanting the spring. This is a little fun pen and ink doodle that I did with a quote. I got this off of something I saw on Pinterest. I was creating mood boards on Pinterest, and that was one of those. This is after spring break with my daughter in 2019. So she was 2. It was a lot of fun. This is kind of one that I dedicated to my really good friend Sally. She lives out of state, so I've got her representing the Iowa side. I'm living in Illinois, so I've got my side, and it's just another quote page with collaging. This one took me many tries. There's multiple layers here, and I kept hating it and leaving it and coming back to it and working a little bit and hating it and leaving it and coming back, and I finally landed on this. It's still not my favorite, but it's done. and that's better than nothing. This is another quote with just some fun cutout pages. This is my husband and I on our wedding today, our wedding day, not today. That was many years ago, back in 2012. More spring stuff. Bloom where you were planted, one of my favorite quotes. And then more wedding day photos. I think I did this in glue stick, so it's coming up, so I need to tack that down just a little bit better. I have noticed that the glue stick doesn't last as long as regular glue, so good for the short term, not as much for the long term. Cherish the moment, kind of based off of love, more collaging. This is when 2020 hit. So we were in quarantine. I was having my students draw stuff that they saw around their house. So this is stuff from around my house. This is my snake plant, which is one of my oldest plants to date. And then this is my dog, Bonnie. I lost her a couple years ago, but she's just, she used to be the sweetest dog. Would always take naps with me. Be the light. I really needed this in those post quarantine days. Just scrapbook paper, markers. This is one again I kind of saw off Pinterest and then altered it to a heart shape. Some really easy kind of carnation in marker. This page is actually from a Jane Davenport scrapbook, and then I did all of the other side to kind of match it. So this is all of my design in watercolor and ink, and then I added the little words on top. But I think it blends really well. Just a fun little sticker page I did with my daughter, and that's it. So this was my very first art journal. You can see how I started really simple in the beginning, and it kind of evolved and took off from there. So just to give you guys an idea, I know you're seeing kind of a lot of really complicated stuff that I'm doing lately, but you really just have to start somewhere. So if you're interested in starting art journaling, just grab something. Grab a sketchbook, grab a drawing pad, grab a notebook, whatever it is. Grab some supplies that you have. A lot of this is stuff that I just had on hand. Watercolors, ink pens, colored pencil, markers, old magazines. Like, this isn't even anything that I spent a ton of money on extra supplies for. So if you're interested in starting art journaling, seriously, please just start where you are, use what you have, and be fearless. Just take a deep breath and create. So if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Let me know what techniques you like the best. Or if you have any questions, let me know. I would love to answer your questions as well. I'm planning on doing this with each one of my art journals, so stay tuned. If you do want to see more, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.